the day Keir Starmer faced the Royal Guard's defiance, and the world watched in disbelief. When the Prime Minister demanded a salute, the Royal Guard stood silent, igniting a storm that shook Buckingham Palace. It was a brisk October morning in 2024, just months after Keir Starmer's Labour Party swept a victory in the UK general election. The air around Buckingham Palace was crisp, with the faint scent of fallen leaves mingling with the polish of ceremonial uniforms. The changing of the guard, a centuries-old tradition, was underway, drawing tourists and locals alike to witness the precise choreography of the Queen's Guard, now serving under King Charles III. The red tunics and bearskin hats of the guards stood in stark contrast to the grey London sky, a symbol of continuity in a nation navigating political change. Keir Starmer, newly installed as Prime Minister, was scheduled to attend a ceremonial event at the palace, a routine engagement to mark the opening of a new veterans initiative, Labour Friends of the Forces, which he had championed since 2020. As a former human rights lawyer and director of public prosecutions, Starmer was known for his meticulous attention to detail and respect for protocol. But his tenure as Prime Minister had already been marked by moments of tension with traditionalist elements of British society. His decision to take a solemn affirmation rather than an oath of allegiance to the monarch, reflecting his atheist beliefs, had raised eyebrows among some royalists. As Starmer arrived at Buckingham Palace, flanked by aides and security, the atmosphere was one of quiet anticipation. The Royal Guard, drawn from the Grenadier Guards, stood at attention, their rifles held steady, eyes fixed forward in the disciplined manner that defined their role. The Prime Minister's motorcade pulled up and Starmer stepped out, his navy suit impeccable, a nod to his lawyerly precision. He was greeted by a palace official, who guided him toward the forecourt where the ceremony would take place. According to the fictional narrative we're weaving, a misunderstanding arose during the preparations for the event. Starmer's team, eager to ensure the Prime Minister's presence was appropriately acknowledged, had requested a formal salute from the Royal Guard as part of the ceremonial welcome. This request, however, was not standard protocol. The Royal Guard's primary duty is to protect the monarch and royal residences, and their salutes are reserved for specific figures, typically the monarch, members of the royal family, or high-ranking military officers in certain contexts. The Prime Minister, while a significant figure, does not traditionally receive a salute from the Guard unless specified by royal or military protocol. As Starmer approached the Guard, a young lance corporal, impeccably trained but unaware of the behind-the-scenes request, stood resolute. The officer in charge, Captain James Harrow, had received no direct order from the palace or the Ministry of Defense to alter the standard procedure. When an aide whispered to Starmer that a salute was forthcoming, the Prime Minister paused expectantly, only to find the Guard maintaining their stoic posture, eyes fixed, no salute offered. The moment stretched uncomfortably, captured by the smartphones of onlookers and the lenses of the press. The incident, though minor in execution, exploded into a media frenzy. By midday, headlines screamed across tabloids and broadsheets alike. Starmer snubbed by Royal Guard, and PM salute demand denied. Social media platforms, particularly X, buzzed with reactions. Some posts mocked Starmer, accusing him of overstepping his authority. Thinks he's king now, does he? #Starmer snub. Others defended him, suggesting the Guard's refusal was a deliberate slight by royalist traditionalists. A few speculated wildly, linking the incident to Starmer's past as a human rights lawyer who once mused about abolishing the monarchy. The reality was more mundane, but no less complex. The request for a salute had been a miscommunication between Starmer's office and the palace's ceremonial staff. The Prime Minister's team, new to the intricacies of royal protocol, had assumed a salute was standard for such an event, while the Guard adhered strictly to their standing orders. Captain Harrow later explained in a private report, leaked to the Times, that no disrespect was intended. We simply followed established procedure. Starmer himself, known for his unflappable demeanor, attempted to downplay the incident. At a press conference later that day, he echoed his response to a 2023 glitter-bombing protest at the Labour Party conference. If they think a small misunderstanding bothers me, they don't know me. Yet, the incident fed into a broader narrative of Starmer as an outsider in the establishment, a man whose North London, liberal credentials clashed with the pomp and tradition of monarchy. The public response was polarized. Traditionalists, already wary of Starmer's reforms, such as ending winter fuel payments for some pensioners and his early release scheme for prisoners, saw the incident as evidence of his disconnect from British heritage. A GB News commentator thundered, "This is a man who refuses an oath to the king and now expects the king's guard to bow to him." Meanwhile, Labour supporters argued that the guard's refusal was a petty act of defiance, possibly orchestrated by conservative elements within the military or palace. Opposition leader Kemi Badenoch seized the opportunity, tweeting, "Respect for our institutions means understanding their rules, not demanding they bend to you." Her comment alluded to Starmer's legal career, where he had defended protesters who challenged state authority, including a case in 2001 where he argued for protesters' right to deface a U.S. flag under free speech laws. The irony was not lost on critics. A man who once championed dissent now appeared to seek deference. On the other side, Labour MPs rallied around Starmer. Shadow Justice Minister Shabana Mahmood called the incident a storm in a teacup, urging focus on Starmer's policy achievements, like the Border Security Command and workers' rights reforms. Yet, privately, some Labour backbenchers worried that the optics were damaging, especially amid ongoing rebellions over welfare cuts. Behind closed doors, Starmer's team worked swiftly to address the fallout. A meeting was arranged with palace officials and the Ministry of Defense to clarify protocols. The Prime Minister personally reached out to the Grenadier Guard's commanding officer, expressing respect for their traditions and acknowledging the misunderstanding. In a rare move, Starmer issued a public statement via Downing Street. The Royal Guard's dedication to duty is a source of national pride. Any confusion over protocol was unintended, and I look forward to continuing our shared commitment to honoring our veterans. The palace, ever diplomatic, released a statement affirming that no slight was intended and praising Starmer's support for military initiatives. The lance corporal involved, whose identity remained private, was quietly commended for adhering to protocol under pressure. The incident faded from headlines within days, overtaken by news of Starmer's National Violent Disorder Program in response to riots and his continued support for Ukraine. Yet, it left a lasting lesson for Starmer's government. Navigating the delicate balance between modern governance and Britain's ancient traditions required more than legal acumen. It demanded cultural fluency. Months later, at a Labour Party conference in Liverpool, Keir Starmer stood at the podium, his measured demeanor softened by a flicker of wry amusement as he addressed the crowd. Reflecting on the peculiar events of the past year, he referenced the now infamous fictional incident involving a Royal Guard salute and the very real 2023 glitter bombing that had briefly thrown his campaign into chaos. "I've learned a few things about spectacle," he began, pausing for effect. "Glitter protests, guard salutes, best left to those with a flair for the dramatic. I'll stick to policy papers and the occasional pint." The room erupted in laughter, the quip landing with the understated charm that had become Starmer's hallmark. Yet beneath the humor lay a subtle acknowledgement of the tightrope he walked as Prime Minister, balancing a nation's reverence for tradition with the urgent demands for progressive reform. The glitter incident, which had seen a protester shower Starmer with sparkles during a speech, had become a symbol of the unpredictable challenges he faced. The fictional salute from a Royal Guard, imagined in the press as a tongue-in-cheek gesture of approval, had only added to the narrative of Starmer as a leader caught between pomp and pragmatism. His ability to laugh off such moments endeared him to some, but others saw it as a sign of detachment from the visceral passion of politics. As he spoke, Starmer leaned into this tension, weaving it into his broader vision. "This country is a tapestry of history and hope," he continued. "We honor the past not by standing still, but by building a future that reflects our best selves." The applause was warm, but the challenge remained stark. Uniting a fractured Britain, where nostalgia for imperial glory clashed with calls for social justice and economic renewal. Meanwhile, outside Buckingham Palace, the Royal Guard stood resolute, their towering bearskin hats casting long shadows in the autumn light. Unfazed by the political currents swirling beyond their posts, They embodied a timeless constancy. Their duty was clear: protect the crown, uphold protocol, and remain steadfast amid the noise of a changing world. For them, the debates over Starmer's leadership, the glitter protests, or even the imagined salutes were irrelevant. Their vigil was one of discipline, not deliberation, a silent counterpoint to the cacophony of a nation grappling with its identity. As tourists snapped photos and activists marched nearby, the Guard's unwavering presence served as a reminder. Some things endure, even as everything else shifts.